Say it again. My volume was bad.
Pardon me. I said I just left the meat market.
Ooh, what'd you get?
12 pounds of chicken breast and 5 pounds of rice.
You're still in your bodybuilding thing?
Uh, yeah, I'm going on another cut.
Why are you cutting?
Because I want to lose like 20 or 30 pounds. I'm
Okay.
still I'm still like 200 pounds, so 170 is not so bad.
170 sounds low for a guy.
Uh, no, because you got like 14% body fat, so you'll have a lot more muscle. I don't know. Yeah.
Hmm. How you been? You've been MIA for a little bit.
Well, I moved over here, and then I had a lot of work for that roofing, but I don't know, did a lot more work for that roofing guy than I anticipated, but he paid me a lot more, so I was
That's
focused.
good.
I focused on that, and then all my deals, and then I live closer to my kids now, so I'm getting them a lot more. So I've just been super busy, and then I'm starting to get my schedule regulated again over here. So
Are you happy?
yeah, I would say I'm pretty pleasant. Yeah, I feel really good.
What made you pause?
I'm just thinking about it. I guess I don't think about it that often, but yeah, I would say I'm pretty consistently happy. Like feel joy and peace in my life.
You feel happier being here close to your kids than where you were before?
It's a preferred indifference. It doesn't really matter where I'm at, but I prefer to be here.
Mhm.
It's just I'm gonna enjoy my life no matter where I go. This makes it less irritating though, because the 6 hour round trips weren't fun every other weekend.
Yeah. What's your new home looking like?
I don't know if I lost. There you are. Uh,
Yeah, for a second, but I was asking, what does your new place look like?
that's a normal 3 bedroom, 2 bath. It got a 2 car garage. Nothing fancy or extravagant. So I don't ever try to live above my means, but yeah, it still needs to get unpacked. I'm slowly doing it. I moved in one day. Like I loaded up the U-Haul and unloaded it in one day, but it's taken me so fucking long, man, to just get the house right.
Moving is hard. I don't envy that at all. I always feel like everybody's touching all my stuff, and it's an opportunity for people to break my stuff. And then it's like the decisional fatigue of what stays and what goes. Is it worth this effort? I don't know, it kind of feels like a flip. You get to the end of it and you're just exhausted and you're like, I don't care. I don't care.
Yeah, I threw away 2 couches. I threw away a dresser. I threw away so much stuff that I just left in the front yard because they have heavy trash day, and
Yeah.
it's just fucking, it's something. It's just something.
Good.
But yeah.
The thing that I will say is, moving sucks ass, in my opinion. However, there's lots of doors to like new opportunities that open. There's things that will happen, energy shifts that will happen that you just couldn't have at your last place. So for those reasons, I'm excited for you.
Yeah, I get invited to more real estate events. I meet new people over here, and I've already made like a couple new friends. And the the roofing thing's really interesting. I'm getting to learn a lot more about what they do and how they do things. Not that I want to get into it, but I'm always willing to learn. There's
Yeah.
a there's a church around here that aligns with my philosophy on life. So they have in persons on Sunday, but on Wednesdays they have Zoom. So I'm going to join the Zoom tomorrow and for the first time see what that's all about. See if they really do align with me, and I'm going to go from there.
Were you going to church before? Oh, I can't hear you for some reason.
I got raised as a Pentecostal, so I haven't really been to any churches. I'm not really a Catholic. So I
Mhm.
go through anybody for my relationship with God,
Mhm.
and no, I don't believe. I'm a pacifist. I don't really believe in violence, and I don't know. Just a lot of the churches I don't align with.
Are you possibly going back to church because of the whole thing with that Kirk guy?
No, I had looked up churches and temples that I thought I would align with, but
Mhm.
the closest one was in Austin, and that was an hour away, so I never went over there. And I was looking into them here, and on their website it said they did in-person meetups, but I signed up for the newsletter and it says that the Wednesdays are Zooms, and I just found that out yesterday, so I put a note in my phone with the Zoom link, and then I set a reminder.
Nice. Mark is joining.
My sister-in-law's calling me. Give me a moment.
Hmm. Hi, Mark.
Hello.
Hi. What are you up to?
Oh, nothing new.
Oh, nothing. Just this.
Nice.
Where are you going? Where are you coming from?
Nowhere.
Are you at home?
Yeah, I am at home.
Gregg, I can't hear you. Well, Mark.
Well. So you made it.
Yeah, in the nick of time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, like 7:20. I had some time, shove food in my face, go walk real fast. We just been stuck in the car all day long.
Oh boy.
Mm-hmm.
Not ideal.
Not fun. I don't think it's a good way to spend time. I don't know that I got much accomplished. While I have you, I should talk to you about contractors.
Okay.
Okay. 2 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
I forgot to do my little Instagram post. Yeah. Among the many things that I'm failing to do. Hello, Scott. Are you in Maryland?
Hello, I am in Maryland.
Oh.
You know, I can't get enough going back and forth.
You just arrived?
I landed at like 5:30.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. We got some stuff to talk about too.
Yep.
All right, give me 1 second, please. All right, we're good. So, Scott, what do you want to do about Seth? So let me tell you what the conversation I had with him today. He always wants to talk.
No.
I don't know if he's lonely or what, but he's like, can I call you? Can I call you? And I'm like, sure. Okay. Yeah, right on. And I'm like, bro, we sent emails. I saw the emails. I responded to your emails that I saw the emails. End of circle. And he's like, no, let me talk. And so today was the first day because when all this happened, one thing that was missing is the money that he was asking for. And so what he ended up telling me is he had a conversation with the bank, and the bank is HUD/CompuServe something, which
Yeah.
I've seen that name somewhere. And they essentially told him he is welcome to put a mechanics lien on the property for the money he spent. And he has receipts for the property taxes that he paid for a couple of years, no idea how many. I'm assuming the grandparents died about 5 years ago. And then I'm assuming that the uncle lived in there for about 2 years before he messed everything up, 2 to 3 years. And then it's been vacant since then. So I guess after they died, there were 5 years worth of taxes. They're about 2,200 a year. So that's about 10,000 there. And anyway, so I talked to him about this and I said, well, essentially, what did they tell you? And he said, all the bank cares about is that the bank gets the money that they're asking for.
Yeah.
When he said, hey, what do I, because at one point he wanted to live in there himself. And he says, so what do I do about all the money that I put in? The property taxes, the improvements that I made. And so there's a list. I told him, please send me a list of all the things you've done. over the years, and I can take a look at that. And he says when he talked to HUD about it, HUD essentially told him to put a mechanics lien on the property. And then at that point, and I think he said this in person, but maybe you were not around that day, the Saturday, or you were elsewhere on the property. I remember him being like, if I charged $120 an hour, do you remember this? He was like, if I charge $120 an hour for like the last X amount of years, it's like $100,000. And then he's like, but I'm an easy guy and I don't want to do that and blah, blah, blah. But I'm a little bit nervous because somebody somewhere coached him that he can put a lien on the property. And then when I'm thinking about this whole lien thing, I understand it. It's true. He spent thousands of dollars. Would have taken it back. He also is a little bit familiar with tax sales, and he's like, I can charge 16% for the money that I paid, and blah blah blah. So I'm not entirely sure how a mechanic's lien works. I would think that if we were selling a house and it's it's not an auction. It's not an auction. It's a short sale from the bank. So it's a private sale. At that point, maybe the mechanic's lien does come into play should he go down that route. But that makes things a little bit cleaner, right? If that's what he wants to do, okay. I kind of don't know about letting him go down this path because it can spiral out of hand pretty quickly.
Right.
I think he's pretty fair. I think he's a straight shooter. I think that's what he has in his head. He sent me a message and I'll screenshot it and send it to you. But I essentially said to him several times when the contract was signed, when I was brought on board, and I'm kind of positioning myself as the person with the money, that this is what we committed to. And so anything outside of that needs to be another conversation. And this is new to me. And so he told me, he's like, I'll talk to Ashley, and Ashley said 15,000. And I told Ashley that I really wanted 20. And she said she was going to talk to Scott, and essentially Scott approved it. That's what the message says. And I said, that's the first time I'm hearing it. So I need to talk to Scott. Not a deal breaker, but just one other, I mention messages to you where I was like, one hoop to jump through.
Yeah. And then I let you know what the real conversation was.
Yeah.
And he's not far off from it, but, and I think I had even mentioned this, a couple of weeks ago too, and talking about, the purchase price and what's being asked for. When we were on the call, he had let Ashley know that he wanted 15,000, and he said, I'd like to get it at closing, or, I could get it after it's been rehabbed and on the sale. I can take it at 15, but I can get financed for it. And that's what I was agreeing to when I said, yes, I'll buy it. And then, I had to wait 4 or 5 days before I even got the contract to sign. And Ari sends me the contract, and he says, there's been, a slight change because now he's asking for 20,000 and he wants it at closing, and he's asking for 20 because he got a buyer down in South Carolina that will come up today, essentially, and pay 130 cash, right now for it. And then he said, he said Seth, agreed that he would sell it to us. And so he's going to stay with selling it for us.
Yeah.
But by saying he wants 20 instead of 15 now. And I didn't say yes or no. I just signed the contract.
Right. So where I last left it off with him is I essentially told him, please write me the list of all the things that you did to the property that you're looking to be compensated for, essentially all the things that he would put in his mechanic's lien. I've never done a mechanic's lien. I guess anyone can put one on a property. I don't know how to dismiss that. It's going to be trouble at the first closing or trouble at the second closing, and we don't want any trouble. How do you even stop someone from putting on a mechanic's lien? Or like, let's say somebody's pissed at you, like an ex-girlfriend or something, and then they put a mechanic's lien on your property. How does one enforce one? I don't know.
Well, I mean, realistically, anybody can put a lien on any property. That it would end up coming down to, do they have substantiation, to, and an act on the lien, I guess. So, I mean, he would have to come up with documentation and records to support the lien. Maybe not the time that it's filed, but when we go to close and we go to contest it, he would have to bring all that documentation to show that it supports putting the lien on the property.
Yeah.
And if he doesn't have that, then he has nothing to substantiate the lien. And I'm assuming the lien would be terminated or canceled, but I don't know how that is done either. I don't think the title company can just do that. I think it has to go through a process.
I've been on transactions before, obviously with Z, that at one point that, both sides of the transaction were like, and then the attorney was like, I'll see you in court. And I was like, damn, like me watching the language they use, I'm dying. I want to throw up everywhere. And then when I was talking to a friend, they're like, no, that's what attorneys have to do when they represent you. They have to, come in guns blazing. So I don't know how any of that pans out. Yeah, I sent the email to title asking for what happens next. It seems a little bizarre that it's a private sale between Seth and us, because according to Seth, they own the property. So I'm not sure like exactly how HUD and Seth play along, but yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I got your new term sheet today with your lender. It's Brad?
Brad.
What's the name of the company that's loaning the money though? Do you know?
Caliver.
Oh yeah, Beach,
I think
Caliber
that's okay.
Beach.
Yeah.
All right, cool. That I think was way better than the first one. The first one was decent. It wasn't bad, but that's way better. I don't know how you pulled that off.
The experience, having the experience in the LLC.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
And
I thought it was because you're private money ways and you're like, schmoozing.
no,
No.
but he's a really good guy to know because he knows private money people, and he's been doing lending for 20 some odd years, and he's only 39 years old.
Yeah.
But really smart, really analytical guy. He did say any expenses that are on the HUD, they will finance. And so, if Seth were to put a lien on the property to pay that lien off, whatever that amount is, we can get that as part of the cost of the property.
Very interesting. Good to know. According to Seth, and so this is the other weird part is like, we're getting all this stuff that Seth says very clearly, HUD said, blah, blah, blah. And I have no reason not to believe him, but there's always like human error.
Sure.
According to Seth, on the HUD, it can only be $87,400. However, if they also gave him guidance to put down a mechanics lien, that's totally possible then, because that shit matches up with Brad. Have you ever talked to Brad about rolling in assignment fees in the lender stuff?
Yeah, he said, if it's a short sale and an assignment fee, is not allowed by the bank, then they're not going to cover it under the loan.
But traditionally, assignment fees, he can include it. Is he saying that anything on the HUD we can include?
Right. So on a normal sale, if the assignment fee was part of the sale, then they can cover that under the financing.
I love that.
Yeah.
I would love for you to post your term sheet. You can block out whatever you want to block out, but I would love for you to post your term sheet introducing your guy Brad on Creative Elite, and just tell people, because I think what you got is really good, really competitive. I meant to compare it apples to apples against the one from Backflip, because that's what I did. Is I made a whole calculator of fees and points and blah 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 blah, and term of length, right? Like how long do we think it's going to be, and then we can also do something where it's like realistic, and then in a worst case scenario, it goes over 3 months. What does that look like? Because I used to do the same thing back in the day when I was like, okay, we're saying this, but historically we've gone over. So what does that look like? And then you can choose the better loan product that fits your need.
Yep.
But yeah, I love what you have with Brad. That's awesome.
Let's see, what else is he saying? Depending on the deal and the parties, he can do loans that, all the interest is paid at the end. There's no payments, during construction, 6 month, 1 year. And he's got a bunch of different lenders that, can provide different terms based on the parties.
I would love to talk to him, like on a call like this. He's
Yeah.
East Coast, right? He's our time zone.
Yeah.
This might be a little disgusting, 8 to 10 o'clock at night, but
Yeah. I don't know if he would do this. He would be happy to do, a one-on-one during business hours.
yeah.
And then have a conversation, would you be open to, doing something in the evening or
Yeah.
something?
Yeah. So one of the things that I was talking about is the end of the year is approaching and we should be keeping more stuff. I have a plan to put my personal house into the LLC and have the LLC own it. So there's +1 for me.
Yeah.
But going forward in the future, how the heck does that work? If you start on either a construction loan, what is that, like 103 C-bash, whatever they call that, the 203 construction loan versus
I don't know.
there's a construction loan, because most, like FHA has the highest standards of things that you have to do to qualify for their loans, but it
Mhm.
also has the lowest amount of down payment. And then you have your traditional stuff, and even traditional stuff, somebody has to come in and appraise it. Thank you, Mark. 203K. Yes. And then there's another loan product called the construction loan, also called the 203K loan, which is, okay, it doesn't qualify for this mortgage or those mortgage. It qualifies for this mortgage because it needs a lot of work. But I've never, it's a, what do you call it? It's a consumer loan, right? So like normal, average, everyday people would use this loan if they buy a house that needs
Mhm.
extra sweat equity, blah, blah, blah. So I'm trying to get smarter with money. It's one of my biggest expenses. I think it was about 46,000 that I spent on the last house, and I'm not even sure that that's everything. Yeah, 46,000 I think is what I spent just in interest only, and then I
Yeah.
got to add in the fees in the beginning, which I think were another 12,000, so we're closer to about 58,000, which hurts.
Sure
But
it does.
it's the cost of doing business, and so if we
Right.
can get the cost of doing business to be more realistic, then let's do that. I had a conversation with Kevin Kozak. I don't know if you know him or remember him. He's amazing. He's amazing. I used to call him, and I still call him, the white whale wallet whisperer. He's the kid that he's like 23 years old. At least that's how old he was when I met him 3 years ago. So maybe 26 now. He's Red Door Equities with his friend from the Marines, and they both went in on this company. And the original idea was, let's dominate one zip code, and then once we figure out all the mechanics of that zip code, let's just kind of franchise that to other zip codes. So that was
Yep.
their original plan. He's from Connecticut. He used to be an agent. When I first met him 3 years ago, he was house hacking his duplex and charging his girlfriend at the time so that he could live rent free and she would pay the mortgage. They are now engaged, thank God, and so it's better. But he's fabulous. He was part of that mentorship with those two guys. It's like Jake and Gino, I think is their name. But they used to do like large multifamily syndications. I think the mentorship is 40,000. And so they joined that together. They've had a lot of crazy growth with that. A lot of his properties are commercial, like 16 units and up, 20 units and up. They talk about stabilizing it and what it looks like. They're essentially the Zach Gray and Andrew Freed, but very like classy, very, very methodical. They're awesome.
Hmm.
But anyway, I was talking to him today, and he was telling me that he doesn't even bother with hard money anymore. He has a newsletter, an email newsletter that he sends out every other month. I'll try to get a screenshot and put it in Creative Elite because I love it. And it's all just talking about numbers and talking about what they did and pictures of their projects and spreadsheets that they have. I feel like he only sends it out once a quarter because they're very sporadic when I get them, but
Yeah.
I like seeing what he's up to. And he says between doing that and then going to the gym and blah, 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 he gets he gets private money, no fees, no origination points, no nothing, 8 to 12% right now. And he says you need non-real estate people money. That's what you need.
Yeah, that's true. There's a guy I know in Massachusetts. He's a Gator, and he is part of like an IRA, like a special IRA funding group, I'll say.
Yep, yep.
And, the people in their IRAs, self-directed IRAs, are looking for places to put their money. And so they're looking for, 8, 9, 10% as being really great deals. And, as a gator, we're generally looking at, 15, 20, something
Yeah,
crazy.
ridiculous. Yeah,
And so he's able to kind of connect or use their money at a low interest rate to then get higher interest,
yeah,
deals within the community, and then he can make some money and they can make some money.
right.
So there are definitely opportunities out there.
Yeah. I think the other one, so Moss Home Solutions, I think it was them, had said at one point they work with like a dental company. I don't know why. It's a bunch of like dentists that got together, Dental Association of Rhode Island, and they're all dentists and they do their normal W-2 job, but then they have all this extra money that they want to invest. And so somebody has talked about like there's two incomes in your life. There's active income and passive income.
Yeah.
And so a lot of these guys, they're smarter, they don't have the time, they like their profession, they want to invest. So going to these associations, organizations is another good way to tap into that kind of money. So yeah, I know it exists out there. I have no idea like the rate in which things cost money.
Mhm.
It's like zero concept. I at one point ran my mouth and was like 15% friends and family rate, no matter what. So I just do 15, but obviously it can be an easier conversation where I tell them, listen, I don't have any opportunities for you at 15, but I do have them at 12 if you're still interested.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And, and as the investor, obviously we're looking at the lower rates, and, those are ideal. As a lender, at the higher rate. So, but a lot of people are not aware of these higher rates. And so you find the average person and they're good with 6, 7, 8%, because that's still better than what they're going to get in their typical
A
savings account.
fraction of a percentage point, which blows my mother effing mind.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, Going back to fees and wholesale, assignment fees, one way that you could work the assignment fee into the loan package would be to overstate your rehab costs, and then you can collect, the assignment fee over time. But you wouldn't be able to pay it out at closing
Right.
unless you had, private money to be able to pay it out at the time.
Yeah, that's the hard part about doing a draw is that you have to like prove the draw and then you have to build numbers into it. And then anytime you have any sort of construction, it's like a 10 to 20% buffer that one thing is going to get effed and one thing is going to get cheap and things like that. I personally hate draws so much because shit happens and shit evolves. And I don't know everything when I first, originate the loan. So like, give me my goddamn money and stop talking back to me. So
Yeah.
I like to raise it privately because I'm an adult and I can handle it. I only do one project at a time. I'm not commingling funds. Like
Right.
I'm responsible with money.
Yep.
So, yeah. What are your plans right now? Are you have a call lined up with Keith to talk to him about how you guys move forward together?
So I haven't had that call. We got the term sheet.
Yeah.
Um, Keith didn't respond last night. He hadn't said anything tonight, but I'll reach out to him and kind of reiterate again, hey, if this is of interest to you,
Yeah.
this is something that we can do, because it seems like the smoothest thing to do would be to do the initial closing with hard money,
Mm-hmm.
and then to kind of fill the gap between what we're able to get for financing and what Keith would be purchasing it for, he brings as private money.
Yeah.
And then, from that, we can pay the fees out to everybody that needs to get paid.
Yeah. I like it. And obviously he said that there's money in the deal and blah, blah, blah. So I would say back in the day, I feel like when people have a lot going on, it's too much for them to think about where it's like, how do
Yep.
you make this work? And you're like, I mother effing don't know. What I would encourage you to do is make a proposition for him so that he can say yes or he can say no to it. It's hard to do that sometimes when you don't know exactly where he stands. Make your best judgment, try to get on a call together with him, see what floats his boat and what doesn't, and then go from there. It could also be that he comes up with the money himself. I know he has
Right.
three lenders, and he's selling things and moving things, and he can borrow things. Obviously, he wants the deal. So we'll see how everything shakes out. Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting too, because when, he saw your email, he responded with, "This is perfect. We sold our house in Woolwich. We've got this money, the cash sitting in the bank."
Yeah.
And then we talked to him 2 or 3 days later. He's like, "Well, I just don't know where the money will come from."
To be honest, I don't even remember that email about Woolrich. I don't know if it was, I don't know, too many things happened and I can't remember, but yeah, it's possible.
Well, you got what, 3 chats going on? There's one between you and I together. There's one with you, Mark, and I, and there's one with
That's
you,
just for
and
this.
I. I know.
Yeah. So that across X amount of channels, across X amount of things, yeah, it can get a bit much. Yeah. But anyway, so you're doing okay so far, so good.
Yeah.
Is there anything that you need?
I need my lenders to pay me back. I'm sorry,
That-
my borrowers.
Yeah. Are you closer to getting that done or no?
One of the borrowers, which generally is a good borrower, was supposed to get paid back. I was supposed to get paid back last week, but he agreed to give me an additional fee to hold the money for another week. And he was supposed to pay back today, but then today came, he says, "I can't do it today. We'll do it tomorrow." And so we'll see. The good thing is he's agreed to the additional fee, and he's already paid me one round of interest on the money that was borrowed, and we just rolled the principal forward. And now for kind of a 3-week delay, I'm getting an additional fee on top of that. And I have every expectation that he will do what he's saying, and even if it's not tomorrow, it'll be soon. It'll happen because he has a really good reputation, and he doesn't want to ruin that.
Yeah.
On the other side, 4 bad loans. 2 of them are minimal. If they were to disappear, it wouldn't break the bank. But the other 2 are a little bit more substantial, and you just can't tell with this guy. And he told me last week that he was gonna have a closing last week, and he'd be able to pay me back. And then the loan got delayed. The refinance, that's the closing, got delayed, and he said it'll be this week. And I let yesterday go just to not harass him, even though I have every right to harass him. Reached out today and asked him, has the closing been scheduled? And I haven't heard back. But when I reached out last week, I said, "And you're going to be able to pay me back?" And he said yes. So we'll see.
You're reminding me, when the Z thing happened, there were a lot more people than just myself. And
Yeah.
one guy was able to get Z to respond to him. And I was like, how in the hell did you pull that off? He goes, I called him every single day until he answered.
Yeah.
So I hear you when you say like harassing people, but if it's one point of contact every day, and I would do Sundays and Saturdays, I know God's day of rest and la, but like if you owe me money, every single day that passes is more money that you owe me. So what's up?
Yeah. The challenge with this guy is he has no qualms about just shutting off.
That's a dangerous man.
It is. It is for sure. Yeah. And so I don't push it, because
Yeah,
if
you're walking a
I
fine
reach
line.
out every now and then, he's likely to respond. But if I do it every day, he'll just shut down, and it'll be the same thing over and over again. So he's just not going to respond. So I try to minimize it. So yes, I will absolutely not be loaning to this guy again. Thank you, Mark. But I'm using, I'll say, the leverage of my credit and the potential for partnering in the future as leverage to try to get it paid back,
Right.
to have a conversation with him about the future, even though the end result is going to be a no. You know, I want him to think that there's still possibility there, so that I can get my money back.
Yeah.
It goes even deeper because the borrower has another credit partner, and the properties that the credit partner has his name on, two of the properties are ones that I put money into.
Yeah.
And his credit is at risk because the borrower is not paying the bills.
Mm.
And for anything that gets defaulted on, the credit partner is the one that'll have the fallout, not the borrower, because the borrower's name's not really on these things. It's the credit partner. And so the credit partner has actually started selling some of the properties to start relieving some of that liability and to start paying off, some debts. And the borrower's flipping out because, this guy is, doing this on his own, selling these things, and the borrower doesn't want to lose these things, but the borrower won't pay the freaking loans to keep the properties. And so
Yeah.
the credit partner's like, I had enough. And I had enough. I was in that same position 3 months ago, but as soon as I saw the money wasn't coming, I canceled all the contracts anyway, so I wouldn't be in that same position.
Yeah. Reminds me a lot of Z. I think one of the biggest lenders for him, he just messaged me today. A couple days ago, he finally took one of Z's shithole properties, took it to the finish line, had a beautiful Instagram video of the property. And just today he wrote me and he goes, I have it under contract. And I'm like, good. It's
Right.
his first flip. It's his first flip. He's in California. He
Yeah.
did 3 of them. He took back 3 of Aziz's houses. And he's like, I'm barely going to break even, but it's better that I get my money back instead of
Yeah.
trying to pull it out of Z, because that's going to be forever. So I hear the credit borrower where they're like, listen, at the end of the day, I got a lot of lip service from Chris and I have no plan, no action. And so I got to do what I have to do to cover my ass. And so you can be mad all you want, but why don't you take that energy and figure out how the fuck to get us out of this situation instead of just being mad at me because you don't like my idea, but also don't criticize my idea when you fucking have no idea yourself.
Right.
Yeah. It's frustrating. I kind of understand both sides too, because I can only imagine being a borrower, knowing to get and having money put into a deal too, like whatever other money they put in. And that was another one of Z's thing too. He wanted to wheel and deal with Eric, that was the lender.
Yeah.
And he was like, hey, I have some money put into this and blah, blah, blah. And I want to make a thing. And it's like, I hear you, but what the fuck is your thing? And the thing is, you have no plan. You have no means to pull it off. And the answer is now I got to do what I got to do.
Yeah.
So Eric's wonderful. He's a farmer from California that did this in California and has never set foot in this property. And I'm
Yeah.
really proud of him for getting it across the finish line. And again, at the end of the day, you got to do what you got to do. And he has paperwork. So whatever the paperwork powers that he was granted, use them.
Yep.
Yeah, because you're dealing with a person that, and that was something that I said to my sellers at the time. I was like, listen, I'm dealing with a person that I don't recognize anymore.
Right.
So any idea that I had about him, this I never saw coming. I have no idea what he's capable of, and I just can't. So cut your
Yep.
losses and get out and let us duke it out in court.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah. There was, a long time ago, I did introduce somebody from the group to Z to invest.
that was the North Carolina guy.
That's the North Carolina guy.
Yeah.
And I haven't actually reached out to him in a while. I need to follow up with him and see how things are going, even not just with that, but just things in general. That was about the time that Z disappeared for a while. And, I did a tour with Z at one point. We went around and looked at, 3 or 4 of his properties or whatever. And he said, you get me some private money, I'll give you, 2 points or whatever it was.
Yeah.
And I'm like, all right, cool. And so I reached out, to the guy in South Carolina because somebody that I had a connection with. and made the connection between the two. And then I hadn't heard anything for a while. And then I reached out to the guy in South Carolina. He says, "Oh, I spoke with Z, and I'm going to be putting money into, whatever project." And I said, "Oh, well, that's interesting because he was supposed to give me money, for a fee for connecting, the guys together, and I never got that." And I also told them that, Z had disappeared. And I said, you may want to be careful or reconsider whether you want to put, any money there or not. And he said, okay, thank you for the warning. And obviously, he did. But Z came back and, he was active again. And so I reached out to him and say, hey, you owe me for this money. And he actually wired me the money. And for doing some of the credit stuff that I'm doing, I've got a virtual office, set up. I've got virtual phone numbers set up and other things, for advertising and stuff. And the money that Z gave me has actually been able to pay for that over the year, and it hasn't actually had to come out of my pocket. So I'm thankful that I actually got something, from him that he said he would do. And I feel really bad for everybody else that he's done what he's done too.
Yeah. Did you have paperwork for the referral? Like, how were you able to pull that one off?
It was just, hey, the only thing I had were text messages. And I said, you said you would do this, and I made this connection. And he said, you're right, I did say that. And so he sent it to me.
The reason why I say this is Janice is also looking. So she was the one who brought the two lenders for Millstone. And same thing, it was a 2% for the introduction. I read in her case, that's the reason why she's suing for almost $500,000. And it's because in the case, if you read out whatever she wrote, she was like, I made this introduction, he owes me this much money. He made this introduction, he owes me that much money. And so I was like, oh shit, I didn't realize he was going around telling people that and then brokering money that way. But yeah, I'm glad you got money. I will tell you the other guy that also got money was an older white man. I don't know if that changes anything because I know a lot of the people that don't have money, well, one of them is an old veteran. That's the sub 2 deal he's not made good on at all. And then there's a lot of women. And so I was like, shit. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yep. No idea what happens. At the end of the day, one day things will make more sense. And until then, I'm going to wipe my own ass and wipe my own ass. The end. Yep. Cool, cool. Hey, Marcus.
Yellow.
Should I call you Duh Marcus? That's a good
Whatever
nickname
you want.
for you. All right. What'd you end up doing this week?
Oh, transaction coordination.
I feel like you've been doing a lot of that.
Yep.
Okay.
Working on trying to get deals closed. Have 3 closings this week, hopefully. 2 are listings. Well, I guess 3 are listings. 2 are like my listings, and then 1 is our flip in Sanford.
Yeah.
So hopefully those get done. Had a good appointment in Rochester. I think I'll probably bring that in as a contract, I'm thinking.
What do you mean bring that in as a contract?
That'll probably get signed. Yeah.
Sorry.
Super.
I think he wanted it.
Yeah, so that one will probably come inside. I signed Nashua, single family flip. Gonna do a walkthrough this Friday with some buyers and some contractors.
Yeah. I made a post in that contractor group that I have, and I have like now 50 people to work through and pick from going forward. Usually I do like 2. I try not to get the super fancy boys because I know their invoices are crazy inflated. Anybody who has like a sexy logo and like just I don't know. You can see when they pull up the truck, you're like, oh, here we fucking go. Like she's
Yep.
just 30,
Yeah.
30,000 and out of touch.
Yep.
It needs to be a little banged up, okay? And then I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
we can party. So you want two contractors to come through, or
Yeah, one or two. If my buddy Rob doesn't want to go, then we can take two. I guess that's fine. Then I have three buyers.
nice.
Yeah. So that should be good. Trying to understand if we want to flip it or keep it
Yeah.
or wholesale it.
Scott,
That'll be
do you have any knowledge about DSCR stuff and like holding properties?
Well, that was kind of my question in your post. So, um, I think it's pretty common to do hard money to do the purchase and the rehab. And then at the end of the rehab, you refinance. If you're holding it, you refinance into a DSCR.
My understanding I talked to a guy named Andy Sayer. He's a lender over in Plastow, New Hampshire. I went for a walk with him with Rupert one time, and I think he came to I did a meetup when I finished the Andover house. And so I think he's from like meetup.com. And he was talking to me. He said DSCR rates are usually higher. You actually want to probably max out the conventional loans. And something about DSCR is going to ask you to leave in 25% equity, and then the rates are higher, which makes sense, right?
Well, it might. They're not always higher, though they may generally be higher, but you're also not putting that loan on your personal credit.
Yes, right.
And there's only so many personal loans
Yes.
you can put on your credit before
Right,
your
right.
DTI is shot, and then what do you do? And so the DSCR is that tool to be able to do unlimited loans. You're obviously a personal guarantee on it, but you're doing it in your LLC that in theory is cash flowing. And if you get a good enough deal, like Mark is always trying to push for, you get into it low, you rehab it decently, and you can actually cash out at the end, even with a DSCR. If the market value, is high and the rents are high, you in theory can actually get cash out of it. You may need to keep 25% in there or whatever they want you to keep in there. But if you did everything right, then you can actually still walk away with cash in your pocket that you can then use in the next deal.
Yeah. I was thinking, I follow this bird group with this huge guy whose name I don't know. And so one of the goals that I had set forward for myself at the beginning of this year was I want to do a burr, because it looks so easy, and they all brag where they're like, I got paid 50,000 to buy this shithole house, and I get cash flow. And I'm just like, motherfucker.
Well, that's what this main house could have been.
Oh yeah. Is that what you were hoping to do? The DSCR in the beginning?
No, initially it was just, to do it as a flip, because right now I'm looking for more instant cash than long term. But
Yeah.
Depending on how it turned out, it may have been, a potential burr.
Yeah. The other interesting thing is sometimes these houses, especially when it comes to hard money, it's one of those where you need to move really fast, right? Like the whole point in you getting its equity being traded for speed and convenience, speed being a big one. And so that's why I think hard money costs more, because there's
Yeah.
speed to it. But there are times, especially with sellers, that they don't need that kind of speed. They need to find another property, or they need time to move, or blah blah blah. And once you have time, like I feel like if you're closing within 2 weeks, you need a hard money lender. If you're closing 45 days to 60 days, that's enough time to get a traditional mortgage. And you're right, you do max out at a certain rate. But then I think I heard something, and this was like years ago, where people would generate like even FHA. I remember somebody in the South Shore group was talking. They're like, yeah, I did 10 FHAs together, or I did like 10 houses together. I bundled it, and then I put the whole thing on FHA.
Yeah, I think you can do a portfolio, like line of credit almost. Yeah.
Which is interesting. So these are all the things that I'm like, I think I need to explore these better because I just don't know enough. And at the end of the day, this is kind of the level where you're like, okay, I can do all the things I've already done, but I need to move in this direction of the unknown. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It is hard to go conventional and get very far, um, because you have that DTI limitation.
But it's a great way to start. I mean, if money is cheap, right? If it's
Yeah.
a cheaper loan product and you fit within the requirements of it, then it's a great way to start. It
Yep.
just might not be a great way to scale.
Right. Yeah. I don't think I don't think you can really scale with it. I mean, a couple of reasons why hard money are more expensive is because they can do it quick. They require less documentation, so the lender is a higher risk,
Yeah.
and you know, you pay for that, but you pay for that kind of convenience and speed of availability.
Yeah.
So the DSCR loans are less expensive than the hard money, but they may be a little bit more expensive
Then
because
yeah.
they are only based on, you know, um, the debt service coverage ratio, you know, the income that it produces.
Right. You know what I'll do, because I'm part of that Burr group, Mark, is I'll take a look as to like what loan products they're using to purchase their properties. Because again, it was something that I was interested in looking into for myself, just because it sounds so cute and sexy.
Yeah.
Getting paid 50,000 to do stuff. But apart from that, what do you need to make the decision of whether or not you want to keep Nashua?
I mean, that's pretty much it. I think, depending how much I could get for an assignment fee, and then I need to compare that to what it would look like to actually keep it, as a rental. I don't think it's going to cash flow too much, right? Um, Need to check into rents a bit closer.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just going based on like what rentometer said, and then even Section 8. So I
Yeah.
don't think it would really cash flow afterwards, but it doesn't need too much work. I know it's a good deal.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
Do you want to talk to midterm rental people and short-term rental?
Yeah, we could do that. I don't know if there's I don't know if Nashua is really a short-term rental market, maybe, but
You never know until you ask. You never know what the hell people are up to.
yeah.
I kind of like the idea of maybe putting together. So I have a midterm rental guy. That's Dylan Svedkick. That used to be the mustache man, and then he shaved it off.
Hmm.
Um, and he's out of like Connecticut / South County, Rhode Island. Then you have the short-term rental guy, and he's somebody that I met through that TV show that I was doing. So his name is Roger Lee, and he actually works for like Airbnb corporate, and he manages the New England whatever. And so his whole thing is he runs property management companies that service Airbnbs.
Yeah.
And then he holds it to their standard. And then he's like the ambassador of New England. So he's plugged into corporate, but I think his primary 9 to 5 job is doing the property management for all of those.
Mm.
I would need a Section 8 person. I don't know if anybody knows of somebody who's really good at Section 8 or loves Section 8 and wants to do that.
That's something I thought about getting into in Louisville, but Louisville, Kentucky. But
We need to know people. I mean, who the heck is doing Section 8? Like, I would love to say, okay, I have this property and I want to look at okay, what's a traditional rental? Like, how do I look at that? Go call some agents. I don't know, go call some agents and check out Rentometer, I like to check out the Section 8 amounts. That's what I like to do. But, you know, traditional long-term rental, midterm rental, short-term rental, Section 8, if you want to go down Section 8. Co-living is a weird one, but maybe that's a way to hold your property. That's an option. But I would love to have somebody do a Section 8. I don't know anybody who does it. Rentals, I guess anyone who's an agent can weigh in, right? You just get an agent what? Professional opinion. And then co-living, I have a girl who does co-living, but she does co-living in Boston. That's Clara.
Mm.
So I need a Section 8 person. But if I had a Section 8 person, then I think that's a great way to look at your exit strategy should you want to hold it, right? Like, what is the asset able to produce for you across these like 5 different strategies.
Yeah.
How many bedroom is that Nashville house? Isn't it 3?
Oh,
To
it's tiny. It's small. It's 2. You can't really add a third unless you're going up with it. It's like 760 square feet. It's small, but
Yeah. So
it's not bad.
I mean, the Section 8 rent would be 2,200 for that, which is actually really good.
Yeah, but that would like just cover the mortgage, or maybe not,
but
based on kind of what I'm thinking.
I think you're at the point where your mortgage might be less because I have a mortgage. I have a mortgage of like 140 and I feel like it's 1% of it. So I guess you're right. If your mortgage was like 230, then I think your mortgage at 1% would be like 2,300 a month. It's just quick and dirty math on that. But yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, but I don't know. I feel like it can rent out for more than what some places are saying, just because it's a single family house versus like an apartment, and it's not in a bad part of town. I mean, heck, I could also just I got to get pre-approved. I need these closings to happen, and then I need to get pre-approved just for like a conventional loan to see if I can, because I know that there was question of if I could or not. So, uh, I can work on that, which I need to do. But I could live there as
Mhm.
well.
Mhm.
Like, why not? So I have options.
Mhm.
Well, it'll be interesting to see where buyers come in. So
Yeah.
I think I'm starting at 230.
Mhm. And then you said Airbnb on it is how much?
I'm thinking probably like somewhere around 350.
Mhm.
Yeah. If I could get to 3 beds, I think it would be like 375 to 425 if it was like a little bit bigger and I could get third bedroom.
Yeah.
But not.
One thing that I'm also thinking of is going back to the Burr people. Some of these guys don't have cash flow within like the first or second year, but you also have to consider that if you've gone through the entire property, then you really don't have CapEx expenditures. But to a certain extent, you should be putting money aside, that whole war chest thing, for surprises and freak accidents. But I do like the idea that if you got paid $50,000 cash to do it, and then you had minimal cash flow or even negative cash flow, like even a negative $100 cash flow every single month, that as you hold the property longer, that you'll get to a point where it's not negative or it's slightly above. You get the, what is it, principal pay down, tax depreciation, and then consider also that you get that lump sum check up front in the beginning.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
your rents go up maybe
Yeah.
annually, and so you turn that 100 a month loss
Loss.
into a break even, and then positive. But then over
Yeah. I mean,
time,
I feel,
the capex would also go up because wear and tear and stuff.
yeah. I feel like either way, it kind of makes sense to keep,
Yeah. I think you do such a great job of getting properties at a great price that alone, I mean, everybody talks about you make your money when you buy it, right? So at this point, I think you just figure out what your goals are. What's the best for you? I mean, I know you're at a point where you want to own something. And maybe this is a great one to own because you'll have gone through the entire property. You'll know the mechanics of it. You'll be really comfortable living there. Like all the kinks have been worked out on it. So
Yeah. If I can get like a normal loan, I mean, I wouldn't even mind just closing on it and as is and living in it and renovating as I go.
who are your loan brokers that you're talking to look into normal loan? Because when you said you were like, I want to get a normal loan, but I need these closings to happen first to then qualify. I'm not even sure your closings now are gonna, I mean, maybe they will help you qualify for whatever the thing is, but usually the look back is 2 years. And it's an average over the course of 2 years as to what you've been doing.
Yeah, but I have like all my money's tied up in deals right now. So once these close, I'll have that back because they'll want to see reserves and that I have enough for the down payment and all this stuff. So once
Yeah.
those close, that should be good. And the situation is I was like 4 years of 1099,
Mhm.
and then I was 1 year of W-2, and then I stopped working for the W-2. So, and because the LLC that I'm doing business in now is not the same LLC as the 4 years I was previously 1099,
Right.
that's kind of a disconnect. But I did speak with one lender, I think, who you connected me with, that said the LLC is in the same, business and all that as the other one, then it's likely he can get me pre-approved.
Is that
Um,
Matt Fitzgerald?
Yes. Yep.
I like him a lot. You can shop your lenders, right? Like these are, I don't know what they're called. Scott, are they called brokers? They just
Yeah.
have access to different loan products.
Yeah,
But
they're lender brokers.
yeah, I don't know that every single one of them has access to all the different loan products. I like Matt, and I'm pretty sure I told you this, Mark, that I like Matt because he's local to New Hampshire. And then on top of that, he's not a stuffy college guy. I don't think he even went to college. So I just find him to be a little bit more gritty. I put people on his plate that I think were contractors, and contractors usually do a terrible job of showing how much money they've made. And he was still able to help those guys qualify for a loan. So I just think he has a little bit more tenacity. And so that's why I recommend him. But if he does not pay off for you, we definitely have more loan brokers in the group.
Yeah. Yeah, we can take a look at it. I mean, between some conventional stuff, maybe a DSCR, some buyers, seeing where they're at. I don't know. I'm feeling good about the property. Either way.
Keith, have you done, because we talked at one time and it made me super jealous because you were like, I'm getting cheap money from the credit union. You were like 6% and stuff like that. Have you ever done one of those 203K construction loans?
No,
No. When you get your cheap money from the bank, how cheap is your money from the bank?
6.5, 7%.
And what kind of loan is that?
Just a construction loan.
It's a construction loan.
First 6 months is interest only, and then you start paying.
Which one are you, your construction loans now? What's the name of the bank that you get it from?
The First National.
Mm-hmm. So one of the questions we were asking is, now that we're getting older, the question is, how do we keep more of our stuff? And I know you're a buy and hold guy, right? Like you have maybe 17 doors or something like that?
15.
15. What was the best way that you acquired a property? Like what's the best strategy of, buying it and then holding on to it?
I acquired all my properties more or less creative. First one was seller finance.
Mm-hmm.
My down payment, I went with him was from a rehab that I was doing. We sold a rehab. The rest of them was a line of credit on properties.
Mm-hmm.
And then once they appreciated enough, I just went in and kind of refinanced enough to pay the line of credit off.
Mm-hmm. So I don't know how a line of credit works, but let's go back to the seller finance one. Are you still seller financed with that deal, or did you?
No, about 18 months out. That's how actually I bought my first 4 unit. That was a 5 unit that I bought
Mhm.
off Ron Cortamaris is the guy's name, and he financed it for me for 18 months. I went in because he had a balloon payment in there, so I didn't want to do the balloon. So I went in and refinanced it at the bank, and we were sitting at the closing table, and I had a deal on another 4 unit. I needed like 55 grand to buy it with no money out of my pocket. You know what I mean? And the bank was going to finance it for me, but I needed down payment. And at closing, he got, I don't know, $196,000 from my apartment building. I paid him, refinanced out. And I just looked at him across the coast. I said, by the way, Ron, I said, what are you going to do with all that money anyway?
Yeah.
He said, why? I said, well, I know where 55,000 of that could go. I said, and he said, hey, you've been paying me good for 18 months. So he said, yeah, not a problem. He said, yeah, how much you need? I get closing costs and everything. So that second 4 unit didn't cost me a dime. And like I said, a year ago, I refinanced that building again just to pay him off to get him out of it.
So when you go in to refinance, what loan product are you using to refinance?
On the 4 units, it's just residential. It's just a regular, residential loan.
Yeah,
On the 5 unit, I use a DSCR or whatever. because it goes on the amount the building make.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it's just a conversation of how to keep more stuff. And then at the beginning of this year, I saw somebody, I'm in a bird group and I hear them talking all the time about their deals. And so I'm always curious how they're doing what they're doing.
Yeah.
So 4 doors and under is a standard residential loan. Obviously, 5 doors and over would be considered a commercial loan, but you right now are doing the DSCR for that.
Yeah. And I just kind of lucked out because my first loan I got from the bank was a 5 unit. So that was set up a commercial portfolio for me. So all my other units, regardless if they were residential or not, are in my portfolio. Because the thing about a portfolio is I can have as many buildings in that portfolio as I want.
Yeah.
Whereas residential, they kind of, once you start getting 5 or 6 loans, they kind of start looking at you hard.
Yeah. I love that. Okay. By any chance, do you know anybody who's doing Section 8, Keith?
What do you want? For what reason?
So in the whole process of holding a property, I'm just thinking about different ways that you pay for the loan product. And so you have standard long-term rentals, then we have a midterm rental. I have a guy for a midterm rental. I have a guy for short-term rental. I don't have a person for Section 8. And then there's the other option of co-living / pad split stuff, which is a little bit unique, but it's something to consider. Like one of the things that we talk about is whenever you're getting out of a property to have multiple exits. It shouldn't be that only Airbnb is going to work, because then you shoot yourself in the foot when Airbnb doesn't work. So I'm just thinking that if I start moving this direction of holding properties, that I would want like one person for each of those exit strategies to talk to then figure out what's the best path moving forward for that one property. But like if we're analyzing a property, I would want to look at all the different kinds and say, okay, well, if I look at this, then I have 3 exit strategies. If I look at this, I have 0 exit strategies. But I want to look across those 5 different things: long-term, midterm, short-term, Section 8, and co-living.
When you're figuring a property, you always figure it for a rental, just
Right.
for a regular long-term rental.
Yeah.
Because if it's Airbnb or a midterm rental or something, you get a little bit more money for it. So
Yeah.
that'll cash flow, obviously. If it cash flows on a long-term rental, then, because that's kind of your fallback thing, is obviously to, or Section 8, same thing. I mean, I
Yeah.
do Section 8. I've got a couple of Section 8 tenants right now. Matter of fact, they get a pretty good policy. I'm there. I just put another one in a unit last month, and they're sending me $1,500 just as a thank you.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah, thank you.
When you got into doing Section 8, how did you fall into that?
Called them up.
You called them up? Okay.
Yeah. I called Augusta and talked to them. They'll put you on the list. They put my name's on the list now, so when something comes up, they call me, see if I get anything.
Cute. Would you ever take, just for shits and giggles, if you picked up a property and then you refinanced out of it and you picked up a big check like $50,000, but when you do your long-term rental, there's 0 cash flow or even possibly negative cash flow. Is that something that you would take on with the hope that as time goes on that the rents increase and therefore become, not everything cash flows on day one. Would you take that if you got that big lump sum?
If it doesn't cash flow on day one, I'm not buying it. I'm just not going to buy it.
Not even if there's a big refinance check.
I mean, it's always good. Tax-free money is always nice.
Yeah.
But I mean, I guess it all depends. I don't particularly like not cash flowing. You know what I mean? It's got to pay for itself. You know what I mean? Anything I've ever, when I buy a pickup truck, I have a plow with it. The truck pays for itself because I plow.
Right.
You know what I mean? The truck makes money. I'm not going to pay for the truck. Truck's going to pay for itself. I mean, that's, kind of that type of mentality thinking.
When you purchase a property for long-term hold, what are you looking for cash flow? Is it a percentage? Is it a dollar amount?
$300 a door.
Okay.
It's nice
And
to go more, but
yeah.
250 wouldn't. You might get down 250, but 300 is a kind of a national average kind of.
Okay. And then when you're doing 300, I know people put money away for like CapEx and all the traditional stuffs. Do you also do that war chest thing?
Actually, I don't do the war chest thing. The only thing I do is get a separate account for taxes.
Yeah.
You know, but I haven't. Usually, I been having enough cash flow, and my thing is I'm probably not going to keep these forever. They're getting me started, and once I stop building, I will probably sell them and take that money and build more. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And I'd sell an old 4 unit to build a new 4 unit.
Right.
You know what I mean? So this all takes time.
Why would you do that though? Like I get there's a lot of time that goes into building the new 4 unit. I mean, if you have a cash cow, it's like an old cow that produces some milk versus trying to grow a brand new cow that produces all this other milk. Yeah.
Because sometimes I don't like waking up in the middle of the night and have to go walk through 4 feet of water because my oil heated my water heater's gone out because my friggin' foundation's flooded underneath the friggin' thing because my sump pump broke. You know what I mean? It burnt out from going so much. Um, Toilets, you know what I mean? Go down in the lower apartment because the toilet leak, you got to replace the ceiling, stuff like that. That doesn't happen in new build.
Yeah.
It just don't happen. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So
All right, Mark, getting back to you. So I think you have a plan going forward as to what you want to do, at least for the Nashua property, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Who else do we know in our group that's a lender? So we have Matt Fitzgerald. I like him. Andrew Sayer is a local guy in Plastow. But who else do we have as like a mortgage broker? Technically, I guess I have my when I did Haverhill Street, the agent that I ended up with, her husband Leahy Nick. I don't know his first name, but Leahy is a mortgage guy. But I think he's one of those consumer loan mortgages. But yeah, so if you go in the direction of qualifying for a normal conventional one, I guess that's an option. I also do like Keith, where he talks about if he's going to First National and he's getting those what construction loans for 6.5%. I like that as an option. I don't know what you would have to do to qualify for that, but it sounds like cheap money.
Yeah. Yeah, I gotta look into some stuff. I'll be doing that heavily next week, probably.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
Okay. Scott, do you want to put Brad's name in the hat for lender brokers when it comes to consumer loans?
He'll do commercial loans too.
Yeah. What's Brad's last name?
Metz, METZ.
Yeah. If you don't mind, I would love for you to like introduce him in Creative Elite. I'll add him to our referrals page, but and then I think it would be nice to also see your term sheet because 9 and change for interest is delicious. Yeah.
Yeah, that's for somebody experienced. That's what
Yes.
that's what he's gonna give Keith. So
Yeah. Yeah. Mark, don't you know insurance? Not insurance people. Don't you know lenders?
Anthony LaPala, I've heard is good, and he can get people qualified who like typically have had hard times otherwise.
Mm-hmm.
The guy I was working with is like, I don't know, up there at Salem 5, but
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. He seemed to have a problem with me going back to 1099. So
Yeah. Okay. So next,
yeah,
Renovo, are they an option?
that's more hard money,
Yeah,
I think.
but also like I feel like uh they should be offering like an exit for hard money people. You know what I mean? Like be
Yeah,
nice to me. I also
maybe
got
they do more.
somebody told me they were like, I have used, wait a minute. Renewable Financial or RCN. RCN, this is the first time I'm hearing about RCN. He said price match them against each other and they'll match rates, then pick the best terms. I've used both 10 plus times.
Mm.
I've never heard of RCN though. I'll try to get you a number for them. Yeah.
So Renovo does, I think, some longer stuff.
Yeah, I know he works with Pam Barty, and she's doing like a mini farm in Bridgewater. It's like a 1800 barn, and then she's doing 10 of her shipping container houses. But her shipping container houses is not like one shipping container; it's like two shipping containers, and then they build a whole like triangle thing on top of it, and so it's more like a house. But anyway, he's the lender for that one.
Good to know.
Mm-hmm. Anyway. All right, so Nashua, you have a new contract in Rochester?
Oh, it's not a contract yet, but I'm thinking it will be. Yeah, there's a lot of shit there. A lot of stuff. It's like a mini junkyard in the backyard. There's like 9 or 10 vehicles, and yeah. It's
Have you ever had
it's not a very large lot. It's
yeah.
like a city lot, you know.
Is this the worst house you've done?
Ooh. It smelled pretty bad.
Yeah.
It was like top 2 on like worst smells.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I wonder if there's only a certain type of buyer that would buy a house like that, having all that stuff in the house and then having like 10 cars on a tiny lot.
Well, the way I'm going to write it up is that sellers to get the vehicles out, like vehicles, campers out of the property before closing, buyer can elect to close, you know, without having that being met. But he said he's got a guy. He's like, I got a guy who'll come tow those out and pay me for each one of them. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm more concerned about like environmental, if anything. Just I've seen deals that have gotten signed that have had like an old, you know, dump truck sitting in the yard or whatever it might be. And I mean, we were trying to do development there, so we had to do environmental testing, and it came up positive for like forever chemicals or whatever, PFAs or something.
Mm-hmm.
And you just never know what the like remediation cost is going to be.
Yeah.
So that's always a
little bit different though, because that's supposed to be a development, but I also understand that if you buy this house, initially everything starts as a rehab, and then you might get to a point where you're like, no, the whole thing is junk. We need to start over again.
Yeah, or even if you're doing like additions potentially, there's a second structure out back that if you were trying, I don't really know, but I know it's something to be mindful of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So two new contracts this week, and then you have 3 closings lined up. What's
Mhm.
the toughest thing that you're having trouble with this last week? What's your bottleneck?
Oh, my acquisition guy is moving, so like for the past week he hasn't really been doing too much.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one thing. Another thing is I've been doing a ton of TC work lately, which I don't mind. Obviously, if I wasn't doing that, I could be doing other stuff, but also I'd like for my acquisition guy to be doing stuff, and then for me to be working on other stuff. I'd be okay handling TC work. Eventually, will that get outsourced? Yeah.
So you're saying that because your guy is away, you're doing his job on top of doing TC stuff. And right now you just want him back so that you can get his lead management stuff off your plate, but you're still doing a lot of TC.
Yep, that's okay. But you know, all of my closings are this month, right? So let's get them closed. Let's have that be some of the focus. You know, especially if we have 2 contracts. There definitely one contract that's signed, and another one hopeful.
Right.
So, you know, that's what it is for now.
Do you have somebody else that can step into your acquisition guy's role?
No, not really. I mean, we don't even, like I like him. He's gonna stick around. He's actively moving. And like I don't have enough for 2 acquisition guys. Pretty much, I think like acquisition guys can go on probably 10 appointments a week, like in person, and that's probably like the max that I would want. You know, for in-person appointments, and acquisition person probably going on. I mean, they could go on more, right? But like 2 a day, like any more than 2 a day is kind of like running around. They're not really doing, you know, the research they need to, or focusing on the lead, and they're busy driving and
Yeah.
all that stuff.
Okay. Well, congratulations on your 3 closings. Congratulations on closing your first flip ever. Congratulations on your 2 new contracts this week.
Thanks. It's none of them have closed yet, so fingers crossed. There is still time for shenanigans, but yeah, it's looking good.
I was thinking the main one was closing last week, but guess I had that off.
Nah, this Friday, I just got a HUD, or like a closing statement, so it's becoming a little bit real, which is nice.
Nice, yeah.
Yep.
Good. Keith,
Thanks.
what'd you end up doing this week?
Just putting the roof on that Baker Road place. I gotta stop. I gotta put some stuff. I've been meaning to put some stuff in Instagram.
That's the one that was the cape that you blew off the top and you made it like a center hall colonial. I love that one. You've been talking about it a lot. Yeah, I would love to see that.
I get some good pictures of it. I just gotta post them.
So remind me, which one was the one that my sister put money on? So that one is already on market, but what's the name of that one?
That's Rowell Street, 12 Rowell, Rowell, Hamden, Maine.
And then Baker is like your current one that you're working on?
Yeah.
Do you have any other projects you're doing, or that's like the one you're focused on?
That's one I'm focused on. I got one apartment I gotta get ready so I can rent it out, kind of rehabbing that here and there.
But it's something small and just like paint and small things.
Flooring, kitchen. I gotta have it re-devised stuff.
You got to have it redivide.
Re-devised.
Redevice? What's that?
Electrical, new outlets,
Oh.
switches, lights.
Is it because it's FHA?
No, it's just because it's old.
Oh. Okay. Is this normally how many projects you have going at one time?
Yeah, I usually have a couple going, so we got stuff to do.
Okay. Have you touched base with Scott about what you want to do for Collins Mills?
No, just been kind of waiting. I see that the hard money, like this, I hate using hard money. Man, that shit's expensive.
Yeah. Is there no way to get money from the bank, First National?
Not for doing something down there. No, Ben would like it. Ben would like to have it around,
Yeah. Okay. Are you paying, when you do the 6.5%, are you paying like fees and origination points?
I mean, just the typical stuff that banks have. I mean, you got to pay for the appraisal, $500-600 and whatever little paperwork it is. I mean, it's,
Yeah.
kind of the same thing in a sense. But it don't have that big fee,
Okay.
Because that's the way to do it is to do the burst system kind of through a bank. You know what I mean? Because the great thing about it is, I mean, you always have to have 20% down. Well, if you buy that rehab, you can buy it for 100 grand. All right, so you get $20,000 down, and it appraises because I give them a scope of work of what I'm doing, and that scope of work it appraises at 400,000. Then they'll give me 75% of that 400,000, less the cost that it costs to pay for it, and that the rest of it's all rehab money.
Yeah. And that's the construction loan.
Yeah.
Yeah. I got to get into that.
lot of banks, all banks don't do that. Your smaller banks
Yeah.
do that. You know, your credit unions. I can do the same thing at Acadia. Because actually, I'm talking to Ben. I've already talked to him about refinancing a 4-unit. So I can and building a duplex down in Winterport and stuff. I got to get back to him this week because if he's not going to do it, I'm going to go to Acadia. You know what I mean? He keeps telling me the banks are tight now and this and that. You know, so.
Interesting, because it just reminded me there's a couple of guys that are doing quite a bit of work in Worcester. I think they did 300 doors in 3 years. They got together, like one is a fitness instructor, and one was a guy who just like ran meetups and was an agent. And then between the two of them, one of the things, because I had asked him, I was like, if you were to attribute the reason for your explosive growth over the last 3 years, what would you say? And he was like, the construction loans, they're really cheap. And I was like, well, who's doing them? And he named a whole bunch of places that I don't know. But I love the idea of, and I remember him talking about it. Mark, I think you were at that meetup with Jason Goldfarb. And I had notes on it. I think I texted myself notes, but I remember him saying like, when you go in for the construction loan, get a really good job of like, do a really good job of what your rehab is going to be. Yeah, I just remember, I can't remember all the notes from it, but I remember him saying like, this is the way to move forward on these things. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. I want to go back to that Berg group and figure out what all these other guys are doing for loan products, but construction loans sound amazing. I wonder if since you're underneath the commercial portfolio, I wonder if you have the ability to get almost endless construction loans because you have a commercial portfolio versus somebody like myself. If I started, I don't know how many construction loans they would give me before things ran out. I think
it depends on kind of how much money you turn into. You know what I mean?
Yeah. All right. Good place to start, though.
Yeah.
Going forward, what are you working on?
Next couple of weeks, I'm going to be probably actually the next couple of weeks, I'm going to be helping my buddy Scott lay some sewer and water. He's got in his project, the Bold Town, he's got 4 6-units sticking off the side of a side road, and we got to bring the sewer and water up through there. So I'm going to help him do that. A few days there, and my buddy Matapong, he's building a house, a duplex right next to my 5-unit, and he needs his sewer and water hooked up. So out in the street. So we made a deal. I'm going to go help him do that, and when he paves his parking lot and stuff like that, he's going to pave my parking lot for my 5 units.
Yeah,
so that'd be a good deal. Yeah.
I think that's a 1-for-1 exchange at that point, because I did a sewer tie-in and I think it cost me like $12,500, but I think it was like there was a part that was plumbing to like get the boot from the house out, and then he did all the digging that he did. And then at a later date, when I put in a really fat driveway over at Andover, I thought it was going to cost me a lot more, like 15,000, but I had no concept of like what it costs. I think I paid 6,500 for it, and it was a lot of freaking asphalt. But if you're doing like a 5-unit parking lot, I can see how like that kind of shakes out to be an even amount. So, yeah.
Yeah, let's just help each other out, trying to do stuff. That's all,
Going forward, so I know at the beginning, because I started doing this back in like March. How are you tracking for your like annual goals? Are you on track with where you want to be? So we got like,
not really. I'll be back on once if I can start building that 2-unit, the duplex. Then I'll kind of be, because that was one of my big goals is to start putting some friggin' concrete in the ground.
Yeah.
So been kind of pushing for it, but my one of the biggest things was my friggin' taxes weren't done yet for last year, so they're just getting done now. So
isn't it your office manager? Remember you made like an office for somebody? Wasn't it like a tax person or
my bookkeeper?
Bookkeeper, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So hopefully soon that'll get resolved, and when that gets resolved, then you can move forward on your duplex.
Yep.
Yeah. Is there anything else that you're not on track with, or that's the one that once you hit that, then you're doing all the things that you set out for yourself?
Uh, no, I kind of wanted to do another rehab. You know what I mean? I kind of wanted to do one more rehab besides the duplex. You know,
Does
so
Colin
I
does
mean,
Collins Mill not account for another rehab?
well, it does, yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
But I know it's different because you were saying like it would be at a distance. It would be your test subject that if you could do that, then you could do it anywhere.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. The only thing I'm gonna probably do when I go down is I will go down. The only thing I'll do is I'll bring my little mini down so I can get rid of the trees and all the bushes and all the bullshit around and stuff, and clean the yard up like I want it. And,
Yeah. I checked in with the title company today. Honestly, I have not heard back, so I'll give them a call tomorrow. I usually like to do everything through email so that there's a written record of whatever the hell happened. And just asking them, deposit in, PNS is in, addendum is in. We have the ability, you're copied in on that email, so I think you might have seen it. And then I had also asked, because this is a short sale, it's a little bit funky because we're getting a lot of the communication through the seller, Seth, which is the person we have the contract with. But if there's a seasoning period, if there are restrictions, if there's whatever, then I would like to hear it from the horse's mouth. So write it down somewhere and send it in.
And that was actually something I asked Brad today or yesterday. A seasoning period for buying a short sale, and he said not that he's aware of. He says once the transaction's happened, it's your property. You do whatever you want with it. But you did ask me earlier about purchase price and stuff, and so sometimes, like in a double close, maybe if the property is the A to B contract is 50,000, but the A to B B to C
I'm
is
sorry.
100,000.
What
When
was
they
right behind
do
it?
the title search, they may find, they may see that the property sold at 50,000 originally. So why would they then finance the $100,000 purchase? And they may go back and say, we'll do the appraisal, the as-is value. We'll give you 90% of that, but you have to bring cash for the rest of that. So that was, one of the optics that I was talking about earlier is if there's a big gap in the purchase price between, the A to B and B to C, the lender may say, well, we're not going to cover that. Why is it so different now than it was before? And so sometimes that can be an issue too.
I was just thinking, we actually do have a copy of the appraisal that was done. And so
Yeah.
that came in at whatever number that came in. And then the 87.4 is 95% of that number. So technically there was an as-is appraisal done.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
I guess, Keith, talking about, bringing money to the deal, is this something, I guess first, are you able to get what you need to do the deal, or is it beneficial to work with you to be able to get the purchase and hard money loan, for this deal? Purchase and the rehab money, I guess.
Yeah. Well, it all depends. I see that thing you sent out there for the hard money. Where did what are those numbers? Where did all those, where did the 168,000 come
So
in?
yeah, so I provided him with a purchase amount plus $100,000 for a rehab budget.
Okay.
And so that's what that total loan amount is. That's, described there as both the purchase and rehab. That was based on, my estimates for rehab. Yours is different, your whatever you'd be doing.
Yeah.
So that number could be, reduced, or you could use that for, draws to your advantage. One of the thoughts that I had was, depending on what you have access to, I could get under the LLC, I can get this loan into the LLC, and then you would just have to bring, whatever other cash is necessary into the LLC, whether it's private money or your own money or whatever, to cover the purchase price. And, from there we can work on, um, you know, giving Suzanne her portion to get out of the LLC.
To be honest, I don't think I even need to be in the LLC at this point. The LLC was something that you and I had talked about because you and I were going to buy it together, and
Yeah.
that was a safe way for you and I to be together. But if I'm not in it, then I'm just another invoice. You know what I
That's
mean?
true. Yeah.
Well, I don't think there is a need for that. I think where you guys stand right now is a couple of things need to happen. I definitely think I should have sent out an email because I got from Seth, and this is one of the things that I want to clarify. Originally, we thought there was an auction on the 1st of October, but that, according to Seth, is not the actual case. By the 1st of October, he has to identify the third party buyer and be under contract. Or else on the 1st, then they're going to take over their activities and then push it to auction. So we don't have to close on October 1st, is my understanding, but I need to get this confirmed by Jamie at HUD, which at whatever, that's the bank, but I need to get it confirmed by them before we change anything. Right now, our purchase contract, I think, is closing on the day before October 1st, but which is in 2 weeks, but I believe we have the ability to extend it. And I know, Keith, initially you talked to me about your guy in Augusta is available mid-October. Is there a way to push it back? And so, yes, the answer is there is a way to push it back, but I can't commit to that until I confirm it with the bank.
Yeah.
But right now I am told, this is the story I'm told. I believe it. I just need to verify it now. So
And
that
it's
also
hard to,
is six.
it's hard to move forward if you don't have any communication with the bank either. So
Yeah.
So where we're at right now is I can definitely let everybody know that I'm hoping I get some sort of answer. I got a new email today, which is like answers@hud.gov. I still have Jamie's email, and that person, man or woman, has not been responsive to shit that I've sent. So Lord only knows what's happening there with that. But the answers@gov whatever, I think has a 48-hour turnaround time, and I get a case number or a file number anytime that I send a new email in. So at some point within their little CRM system, hopefully my email will get touched. I'll hear some sort of response from them. So
Yeah, no, I just got to know numbers. What's going on? You know what I
Yeah.
mean? For everybody and whatever, and I just got to kind of have it.
I think the loan amount, that we could get, can cover whatever we need it to for the original 87.4 and the rehab. And so what I'm thinking is, you bring, the 130 for the purchase, for your purchase, into the LLC, and then the loan will cover, the purchase at closing and give you whatever you need for a rehab budget. And then the other fees, I'll say the extra money.
So it wouldn't be 130 at that point, because if the purchase price is 130, right? And the bank needs to have 87.4 to clear them. Keith, there's invoices that need to be paid, wholesaler fees, and then something for Seth. So that's how we got up to the 130 number. But the bank alone needs 87.4. And so at that time, I thought we were underneath an auction. And so I said, listen, if we need 87.4 cash, I will get it just to be able to secure the deal, because I don't want to lose the deal. And then going forward, we figure out how to pay off the invoices with whatever. But if the purchase price is 130 for Keith, and so we have got a couple options. Number one, Keith gets the money the end, but Keith said I might need a little bit of help. So we have option two. Option two is Suzanne has a little bit of money. And also Scott has the ability to borrow money. What we could possibly do is what I usually do, which is borrow as much of the purchase price as possible. And then I bring in the difference because they make me put in 25% or 10%, whatever. And then they give me as much of the purchase price as they can give me, plus 100% of the construction, and then I am responsible for the difference. And so if there's a difference in this one, it would be 130 minus the 87.4, which is whatever that amount is, 42 and change minus. So 42 and change would either be what Keith needs to bring to the table on his own, or if we need to look into doing private money, I have options for private money for 42,000. And I think those are the two options. Keith does everything on his own the way he wants to do it. Keith partners with Scott. Scott brings in the money. Keith can go out. Yeah, but that's the two options that I see right now.
Yeah, and if I bring the money in, then I would also, be responsible for the loan for the duration of the construction until it goes to sale. And so I'd also, be looking for a fee for that liability for that time that I'm on the loan as well.
You would be the money partner. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess option one is Keith does what he wants, however he wants for the 130. And then option two is you become the money partner and figure out what that looks like, but you're responsible for getting the hard money for the purchase price and the construction, and then also finding a channel for the private money, which is what I offered to do. Yeah. Keith, talk to me. Makes sense? Doesn't make sense?
Yeah, I guess I just got to think about it, wrap my head around it.
Do you want to talk out loud and tell me what you're thinking? Because if this was unclear, or if it's different than what you first understood, just tell me.
Yeah, no. I just looking at that other stuff Scott had sent me like that, and I just couldn't.
I understand where the numbers came from.
Yeah, I had no clue what
Yeah.
was what and everything else. It was like, geez, that don't make sense because that's not even. It says there's 100 there's 100 grand for rehab, but yet, all I need is 60, but yet it still don't match up to numbers.
Sure. And if you're comfortable with the 60, I can have them revise it to show that as being 60, and that way you've got the true term sheet of what that deal would look like.
Yeah.
I wanted to go with a higher number just in case you wanted to have a fudge factor in there, or whatever the case is.
Yeah. Well, because actually like I said, them numbers aren't really true because my purchase price is 130.
Yeah.
Has nothing to do with anything else.
Right.
You know what I mean? And then on top of the 130, I need 60,000.
Right.
That's 190,000.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? And I just was looking at that. I said, that's kind of, I just
right.
wasn't sure what was going on.
Right. So, to your point, we'll take out the rehab period. And so the purchase for us is 87.4. The purchase for you is 130.
I was thinking, Scott, if your guy Brad said that he can cover whatever is on the HUD,
Yep.
then I would just put all the invoices on the HUD. And at that point,
whatever the bank will allow to be on the HUD. I don't know that the bank is going to allow any assignment fees or anything to be on there, but they may allow Seth's cost to be on there. But so the difference between our purchase and Keith's purchase is 42, and then he wants 60 for
rehab.
For the rehab, that means he needs $104,000.
What's 104,000?
No, that doesn't make sense.
You're good. 147 for 400. And so then the difference between that and the 190 is 43,000. So 43,000 is the invoices that we need to pay.
What I'm saying is, Keith's purchase is 140. I'm sorry, 130. Ours is 87.4. And so if I bring the loan on to cover that purchase, then, Keith has to bring the different, just for the purchase, Keith has to bring that difference of 42.6. But he also wants 60,000 for rehab, which means he needs 102,000 to bring.
147,400. So 87,400 for the purchase price plus the 60. Oh, well, the 68,000 is coming from the lender, right? So he
Right.
doesn't need to bring 60 to the table. It's just the 42,600.
Right. If we go with the lender, yes, if we go with the lender, we can get whatever Keith needs for the rehab.
Yeah.
And then it would just be the difference between the 87.4 and the 130, right? That would have to come from private money or personal
However,
account or whatever. Yeah.
So why don't I do this? Let me get in touch with the bank, because the thing that I wanted to figure out is, number one, I need to clarify about October 1st, just to identify the buyer. Because at that point, if we just need to be identified and not closed, then we have some more time to do whatever the hell we want to do. So one, I need to confirm the October 1st date. And the second thing I would like to know about seasoning periods. I don't know. Maybe we could do a double close if there is no seasoning period. That's just something to look into. And then the third one is invoices or liens on the HUD. Because, and the reason why this came up, Keith, is Seth is the grandson, and he thought he was going to move into the property. And so he started spending money. He paid for taxes for about 5 years so that the town didn't take the property. He put in that brand new heat pump, hot water heater. He also did like an artisanal well. And then he told me about a couple other things. Like I think he had the furnace repaired, and then he's been just cutting the grass and things like that. So he wants to be able to recoup some of the money that he's losing because he thought he was going to move into it. He spent all this money and now he's not. And so that's one of the invoices. At one point, he told me earlier today that when he was in conversation with the bank and he told them, hey, what about my money? And they were like, why don't you put a mechanic's lien on the property for the amount of money that you want? And so this is where it comes into play about showing anything else on the HUD. And so that's the thing that we're trying to figure out is to get him his money, how to do that legally. Is the mechanic's lien a good option for that, or do we just pay him via invoice? So these are things that I need to figure out.
Yeah, and any if he has an invoice that could be the mechanic's lien, if the bank allows for that expense, then
We can get the lender to cover
we
it.
can get the lending to cover that amount. But the lending won't cover any expense that is not allowed on the HUD.
Yeah. So we need to figure out what is allowable on the HUD, and then we can go from there. Because that'll tell us more.
Yeah, because whatever's not, I mean, you got to be paid. Then just expand the rehab budget, or just take it out of the rehab budget. The rehab budget, 100%. Right? They'll give whatever.
Yeah, they'll give you 100% of the rehab.
Right. So whatever we need to pay for whatever, then we'll just kind of add it to the rehab budget and kind of go from there.
You have access to it via draws.
Right.
So those fees that we need to pay, I think, Suzanne, they would end up having to get paid over time. They wouldn't be able to get paid out right away.
So we can work on all these things. I think we set the standard with Seth that at one point we're going to work towards that goal, and the mechanics of how that gets done, we're not entirely sure, but we're on the same page and he's a wheeler and dealer too. Like this is not over his head. At one point he was talking, so there's other wholesalers on the deal, which is how we got involved because we were going to buy it from the wholesalers. And at the time he was telling them, oh, if you can't pay me at the first closing, then pay me at the second closing. So he's willing to wheel and deal. Yeah.
Keith, do you want me to get a term sheet for the 60 or hold off on that?
We'll kind of have to hold off on that and see what's happening, with all the monies and kind of see which which direction, you know
So-
what I mean? Because I
Yeah.
just gotta know, I mean, if we go through, if it's easy to go through that gentleman there, what you're doing and have everything work out, you know, it is what it is. Or if I go to, I'll have to go to Andy or somebody and see about the 130 and the rehab, you know what I mean? Kind
Yeah.
of do it second close type deal or
Yeah.
something. I mean, whatever's easiest, and you know,
Yeah. It's a,
I
at the
I
end
just want to make sure everybody gets paid, and you know, I mean, and if you want to do that, Scott, do something like that. Just I just need to know what numbers are. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? But I
Yeah,
want everybody happy, and just what everything is. You know.
Yeah, and it's not a matter of, whether I want to or not. It's, if it's helpful for you to be able to utilize me to be able to get access to the money, for a mortgage, I'm happy to do it. Again, there would be a fee attached to that.
Yeah.
But we can negotiate what that would be. But if you don't want to go that route, you can get all the money, on your own. That's awesome too. I want to be able to do what I can to help the deal.
Yeah.
And if
Yeah.
I'm
No, I
not
appreciate
needed
it.
for something somewhere, that's great.
Yeah. No. Yeah.
And I
I
and I
just gotta
would
just think about what the fee is or whatever. So you know what I mean. So
Yeah.
next
Yeah.
time we talk or something, we can figure out what it is. And just
Okay.
like I said, I need to look at numbers. I don't
Yep.
care where the money's going.
Yep.
It doesn't matter to me where. I want numbers, so I
Yeah.
know what my numbers are, and then
So you
I'm
know how to
happy.
work with it. Yep.
You know what I mean?
Why don't we do this? Keith, if you want to preliminarily talk to Andy and just tell him, hey, I have an opportunity on the horizon. These are kind of like what the numbers look like. Scott, you talked to, you already got those numbers from him. The
Yep.
only thing that would change, he's saying he wants a $60,000 rehab budget. And then, so $60,000 rehab budget, the fees in between Seth and wholesalers is about 40,000. And then the purchase price is 87,400. What we can do is the back flip sheet that you have, compare that against Brad essentially, and figure out which one is better. And we'll look at that between Keith, how long do you think it's going to take? Like 6 months, start to finish?
I would hope I'd get out of there, sooner than that.
What would you say what would you say? How long it would take you?
I'd like to push for 90 days, but
Okay.
it might take 4 months. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? I'd like to have it sold by 6 months.
Okay, so we can do that.
You
Look
know,
at it at
I
like
mean,
the 4-month mark.
my realtor said that the other houses that were on the market, they only stayed on for like 6-7 days.
Yeah. Okay, so we'll look at a 4-month timeline, 6-month timeline, and then we'll compare it backflip to Brad. So those are the two loan products that Scott has access to, that he has quotes on. Backflip is one of my favorites. I actually found it through Mark. It's one of the cheapest, and that was the cheapest one I found after shopping 10 hard money lenders that are local to me. But they are Massachusetts, and not everybody does Maine. So Backflip was the number one out of all of them. And then Backflip also offers doing stuff in Maine. So Backflip, you got a quote from Brad, which is his guy you got a quote from. So we'll do the math on it and figure out which one is better, and then which one is better for the 4-month mark and then the 6-month mark. Because sometimes, fees up front versus higher interest, blah, blah.
Yeah, I was going to say, I mean, if you can, irregardless how long it's going to take, because all that is unpaid interest that you don't have to pay if it goes early.
Yeah.
If you can get it for a year, get it for a year. Because usually, I find my hard money in lenders up around here, they won't go a year. They'll go 6 months. They'll extend it twice, 7-month and 8th month. The last one I did, I had to extend once. But I mean, it cost me almost 2% just to extend it, plus my interest fee. So I ended up coming up with like $5,000-$6,000, and it's got to be paid up front you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And at the end of a rehab, it's kind of hard sometimes to pull, $5,000-$6,000 out of your ass.
So you want the term to be for 12 months?
Yeah. Just make it for 12 months, and if it sells early, get rid of that interest. You know what I mean? That's interest you don't have to pay.
Yeah.
The one
I
for
remember-
backflip is 12.
Yeah, I think for most loans that I have, it's usually 12 unless I
Yeah.
say something sooner. But I like
Yeah.
the idea of Scott getting the two rates for the course of 12 months and then us comparing it against Keith's prediction of 4 months versus 6 months, and then figuring out which is the better loan product for this situation. And then Keith's job is go talk to Andy and see if he can do better with Andy. Yeah.
Yep.
My
I don't
job-
think so. The last time I was talking to Andy, I mean, he was talking maybe 12%. You know what I mean? That's what he was talking about. But I mean, I guess it all depends on fees. I mean, because like when I was looking at that one there, I mean, it's never, 9 point whatever percent. That's nice for a payment, I guess. Yes, it is. I mean, that's a low, a low payment. But I mean, the whole thing is over 25%.
Yeah, yeah, all the fees and
Yeah,
stuff.
I
can
mean,
you can you see my screen?
yeah.
Okay, so I already did all this, and I have a spreadsheet that I'll share with you. Term sheet lenders. Okay, so can you see my spreadsheet?
Yeah.
Yep.
You want bigger?
Yeah, bigger would be great.
Okay, so this was State Street I was looking at. So I was comparing lenders. Let me do Brandy Brow. So Brandy Brow is my next flip. My credit score, my experience, backflip option one, they were going to give me construction and this one wasn't. So I did all the calculations out. I have backflip, I have Conquest Funds, I have HIS Capital, I have Luke Hanscom, which is H1, H2, National Loan Funding, Asset-Based Lending, Deal Fund 360. So I forget how many that is, not I guess 8 maybe. And then what my purchase price was across the board was 170. Is it 170? I guess it's been a minute. But construction, total cost, initial funding, how much they gave me, my loan to cost, I guess. Some gave me 90%, 81.67%, blah, blah, blah. I come down here for the origination. Okay, so if origination is usually a percentage point, how much that origination fee is, and then all the other fees that they add in. So backflip is pretty nice. They only have 2 fees, underwriting and legal, and then the appraisal fee. According to them, they will waive the appraisal fee if you have an appraisal, and technically we do have an appraisal. Whether or not they accept it is a whole nother idea. This one, who is this over here? This is Conquest Funds. They are 2% origination fee. They have a $2,250 attorney fee, freaking $1,250 processing fee, $750 loan servicing fee, $1,500 appraisal fee. So when I come down here to total fees, I got $5,700. And then I got their interest. So I got 10%, 9%, 10.5%. And then I did the calculations based on that over the course of 6 months. And then at the very end in the yellow, if you can see this, I have what it would cost me kind of apples to apples between the two different loan products. So this is backflip option one, backflip option two. What the difference is between it, essentially for $1,300 more. Is it? No, 5. Yeah, for $1,300 more, I can get $10,000 for construction. That's the only difference there. This one with whoever this guy was is $16,000 for the same exact shit. Origination fees, interest over the course of 6 months at whatever rate they lent to me, 16,000. This guy's also 16,000, 14,000, 22,000. Who is this asshole? Let me look. Why is he so goddamn expensive? Oh, the fees are high, 2.75. National Loan Funding. I forgot who they are. Oh, they're the guys that I did a thing with them. Yeah, 22,500. This guy, 19,000, 20,000, blah, blah, blah. So I literally save, look at this. I can be as low as 10,000 or 11,000, which is 5,000 off of like the mid-range one. And then for these expensive guys, I can be all the way up to like an extra 10,000 in total costs, just doing shit with them. So that's why I keep saying, like, compared to all the other shit I looked at, and I have, so at the very bottom of this sheet, I'll give you, like, this is literally the term sheet they give me. So if you ever think like my shit is whack, you can come here and like double check that, like, this is exactly what it was, sort of deal. Anyway, so I have that. I can share that. My plan was to share that with you guys anyway. But that's what I mean is looking at it apples to apples At the end of the day, at the 4-month mark, at the 6-month mark, how much does it cost and which one is worth going to it? It makes it very clear who the winner is. Okay, so that's our game plan. Talk to Andy, even if he's at 12%, maybe go to the bank and look for a construction loan. I don't know. Just Keith, use your imagination about money. Scott, you and I will work on an Excel sheet to compare those 4 different scenarios with the 2 different lenders, or the 2 different scenarios with 2 different lenders. And then my job will be to connect with the HUD lady and answer the 3 questions. Number 1, the closing date. Number 2, the seasoning period and any other requirements. And then the last part is what I can actually goddamn put on the HUD, because then it'll tell me what I got to do for the stuff not on the HUD. Yeah. And hopefully all those things will make our lives easier.
Yep.
Cool. Okay, that's it. Scott, can I please have your term sheet from Brad? I would like to get a comparison for Brandy Brow, and then I'll add one more person to my.
Yeah. I just put it into the folder.
Perfect. But I want you to make a post on Creative Elite and say, hey, delete out whatever you don't want people to see. Hey, this is my lender. This is his contact information. If you want to move forward, maybe even get a referral link from him. Why not?
Yeah, I'll reach out to him and, just I don't know why he wouldn't be okay with it, but I just want to make sure he's okay with it before I do.
You okay with what?
With me putting him out there and stuff. He should be fine with it. But
yeah. The one thing that I will tell you is lenders get a little bit spicy about sharing terms sheet. But to that, I say the group is private and you're all my mother effing friends. And so it's like having 100 friends on a group text. Because it's freaking private. Yeah. Nobody can see shit. Even if you join the group, I still have to approve you. And I don't approve freaking everybody.
Right.
So yeah, I wouldn't mention that part. I would just ask him, hey, my friend thought you were a great lender. Is it okay if I share your contact information? And also, can I get a referral link for, pimping you out?
Right. Yeah. I know. Go ahead, Keith.
No, I was just going to say, amongst our travels, did we figure out if that other building is on a separate property? I mean, them it's kind of 2 separate.
So we have not. That's another good question. So I'll ask title. Because what I did find out through title and get confirmed verbally, he said he has to go to the town and check, is that the first parcel is 300 feet by 200 feet. So let's just go by that because all the parcels, one dimension is 300 feet. But at one point, the original house that was originally built, 1976, is 200 feet wide. And then they added in 1987 a parcel that was 30 feet. So all in would be 260 feet. But on the same day, they conveyed out 30 feet of that. Maybe 65 feet. Maybe it was like 200 plus 65 minus 30. So right now we're rocking at about 235 feet. I don't know if that thing is included or not. And at 235 feet times 300, that's only 1.6 acres. It's not the 3 acres that we were originally told. So in the addendum that I had signed, it gives us the ability to cancel everything if it comes down to, you being like, no, not good enough. Because what we were initially told versus what it actually shook out to be on the back end are 2 different things.
Yeah.
I did talk to the woman at the town hall too, and she couldn't confirm the lot sizes, but she did say that you would likely be able to put an ADU on the property.
Yeah. I think the more important thing, at least for Keith, is that building, because that building is a whole nother building.
It's already there.
So it's a huge bonus. I know we originally talked that like, even if it's not included, it's still a deal, but let's just know what the hell we're buying. So I'll make sure to talk to title about lot sizes. And then I got the 3 things for HUD. And then I think that's all the stuff that I have to do. I have to get money, but that's my business and I'll do that. Not a problem. Cool. Keith?
Cool.
Scott?
Cool. Yeah.
DeMarcus?
Cool.
All right. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining me. Us gentlemen and lady, I'm excited to work forward with you. I'll be in touch. Let me know if you need anything. I got my eye on the calendar because we have 2 weeks according to our contract before we have to extend and or close. So just be in touch with each other, and then everybody has our game plan going forward for now.
Yeah,
Sounds
sounds
good.
Yeah,
All
talk
right.
to you tomorrow. Thank
Good
you.
night, everybody. Thank
Have a
you
good
so
night,
much.
All
everyone.
right. Peace.
Bye.
Bye.